Good morning. Good morning, Priya. How are you doing? Sorry for the delay today because for some important thing I had to go. I had to travel at night, and I was just back only at late night. So, anyway, so we'll begin our class quickly because today we are going to we are going to discuss PYQ of 2022 shift 1, and that's very important. Why we did 2023 first? Because based on that we'll understand that what they have asked previously. So with that we are going to establish a connection, like how important is PYQ in the perspective of net exam and how it affects your preparation, and why solving this becomes very important when you are preparing for the exam. Anyway, so the class will begin as I promised. There will be some one story, and the story is today about a girl named Maya, and all other story that we discussed, she also had a burning desire to crack the net, and she dedicated like countless hours of studying and preparing for the exam. However, she faced a significant challenges. She struggled with remembering the vast concept and topics required for the exam, and it happens with everyone also. So no matter how hard Maya tried, she found it difficult to retain the information and recall it during her study sessions or mock test. So frustration began to creep in, and Maya started to doubt her abilities. And it happens in every net aspirant. In some stage of their preparation, they get feeling like that. But remember, stick with your plan, whatever you're doing. Like Maya uh, also had this kind of challenges, but then again, she wondered if her dream of passing net UGC exam was slipping away. So one day, while discussing her struggle with a fellow aspirant, Maya received a valuable piece of advice to solve the PYQ. And Maya decided to give it a try. She started gathering the PYQ and began solving the questions systematically. To her surprise, as Maya started working through the PYQ, she noticed a significant improvement in her understanding and retention of the concept. So, by focusing on specific questions asked in previous exam, Maya gained a better grasp of the topics and their relevance to the uh, net exam. So as Maya continued to solve more and more PYQs, like how we are doing and what other protagonist of her story uh, did, and she discovered the pattern, recurring themes in the question. This helped her identify the key areas where she needed to concentrate her effort. So, by revisiting those topics and reinforcing her understanding through PYQs, Maya's confidence grew and she felt better prepared to tackle the exam. And on the day of the UGC NET exam, Maya entered the examination hall with a renewed sense of determination. She approached each question with clarity and composure. Drawing upon the insight she had gained from the PYQ, Maya's hard work paid off and she successfully cleared the exam, again with flying colors. And Maya's story is a testament to the power of solving previous year question papers. It taught her that sometime the key to overcoming a challenge lies in different approach. If one method is not working, you should be able to apply different approach, and by focusing on PYQ, like Maya was able to strengthen her memory, you can also do and understand the exam pattern and gain the confidence you needed. So again, the moral of the story is, again, it is perseverance, adaptability, strategy, and study method are crucial to success. And the journey may be they may have so many obstacles, but finding the right technique like solving PYQ can make all the difference. And Maya's determination and willingness to explore new strategy ultimately led her triumph over her difficulties and fulfill her dream of passing the net exam. And that's what we are also doing right now. And like right now we have Priya there, we have Anjali, Vidya. Remember these stories only boost your energy and give you a little bit hope that you are doing the right thing by solving PYQ. And today we are going to we are starting our 2022 shift 1, and in the between I'm going to ask a couple of not question, just simple thing like you only have to answer in yes and no, that's all. So the question will be like, is this question came in or based something related to that in 2023? You have to say yes, or if you haven't, if you think it no, they didn't ask, you can say no. So got it? In that way we will concentrate better, we will understand the concept better, we will know the question more, and will understand when it was asked. So in that way you will have really a strong background than the others. So in that way you will determine the outcome of the future, what will come in our next year, what are the chances that these questions might appear once again, and what's gonna happen, you're going to answer them correctly. Got it? Say yes, start the class. Say, write in the comment, start. Okay, great. Priya, Anjali, Vidya, everybody is there, and we can start. As I asked you, write in the chat, start. Great. So let's begin. So here the first question is related to Ngugi wa Thiong'o, article literature in school. I'm gonna ask once again one question. Something related to that did you find in 2023? Tell, write in the comment yes or no. So which among the following is appropriate about Ngugi wa Thiong'o's article literature in school? So the article discussed the relevance and adequacy of the present education system. It advocates the teaching of European text and literature to the student of third world country. So Priya says yes, related to that they have asked in 2023. And let me remind you what it was about. It was about they asked about Chinua Achebe, right? And there was one option in these kind of statements were there, and we had to find which one is correct about Chinua Achebe, right? And there was one option related to that was in Ngugi wa Thiong'o's one article or about literature and English in Nigeria, these kind of questions. So remember, one question you're certainly going to face from Ngugi wa Thiong'o or Chinua Achebe's or Ben Okri, their contribution in English transformation. So these days they are asking only that part of it. So great. What was the C option? If it reflects negatively upon the literature taught to Kenyan students in national schools, and it argues that cultural imperialism distort people's vision of history. It observes that European teachers are better equipped. And tell me, what was his article about? Why he wrote this article, literature in a school, and there are options, and which do you think is mostly appropriate? So A is correct. The article discusses the relevance and adequacy of the present education system. So that is correct. Why here B is not correct? It advocates the teaching of European text and literature to the student of third world country. Exactly not, because they were talking about that the text should be about Africa also. I mean, mostly about Africa. So that statement doesn't follow. And C says it reflects negatively upon the literature taught in Kenyan student in national school. Here it says it's right. It reflects, of course, upon the literature taught to Kenyan student in national school. And D also is correct. It argues that cultural imperialism distorts people's vision of history, and that is really, it is all about common sense also. So that is correct. E is wrong because it observed that European teachers are better, and he didn't mention that at all. So that option automatically through our common sense we can eliminate it. So your answer is A, C and D. And here the correct explanation also is there. Whatever is important issues are mentioned here. We'll just go quickly with that. So Ngugi wa Thiong'o in 1977, upon a novel form of theatre in his native Kenya that sought to liberate the theatrical process from what he considered the general bourgeois education system by encouraging spontaneity and audience participation in the performance. We'll just move into important point. So his debate was about literature in our school has shown that we Kenyan are very concerned over the literary diet now being ladled out to our children. This is as it should be. Education is a mirror onto a people's social being. It has been a major ideological battlefield between the economic, political, and cultural forces, and oppression and the forces for national liberation and unity. Hence, the education system of us, Kenyan, was one of the first national fortress to be stormed. So this paragraph is very important. So system of us, Kenyan, was one of the first national fortress to be stormed by the colonial spiritual policeman, preparing and subsequently guarding the way for the permanent siege of oppressed by all the other occupation armies of British imperialism. And the issues are there: the relevance and adequacy of the present education system, that was the main issue. And he asked us these kind of question: what is its philosophy, what are its premises and guideline, what and those social vision is setting out to solve. The second issue was that the decision making personnel, the teaching staff was another problem, and approach to literature. That's what was there in the question. What is our guiding worldview as literature teachers? So that is question number second is here. Who is the author of a literature of their own? Tell me, did you find this question previously in 2023, something related to these people? And to your surprise, yes, they have asked Sandra also, Susan, Ellen Shaw, Walter, Virginia Woolf, and Sylvia Plath, all of them itself. So tell me why it is important to solve PYQ, because everything is based on your question paper previously. Tell me in the chat box that did you find related to this uh, question in 2023. Write in the chat yes or no, and then we'll begin to solve next question. So anyway, who is the author of A Literature of Their Own? Everybody knows that it is who? Tell me. 1, 2, 3. Anyway, so it is Ellen Showalter who wrote A Literature of Their Own. I'm going to tell you some of the important thing in A Literature of Their Own, so you are not going to make mistake, even if they ask not about the her work, but if they ask a little bit deeper inside of. So great. So correct explanation for that is Ellen Showalter who wrote A Literature of Their Own. And why this work is famous? Because of the gynocritics. Remember that concept, gynocritic. When Ellen Showalter come, you should remember 3 things: A Literature of Their Own, and gynocritic, which means women as writers. And Showalter, actually it was a PhD, the double critical standard criticism of women writers in England, and was later turned into a book, A Literature of Their Own. British women novelist from Bronte to Lessing. So in one question in previously they have asked about which author she has mentioned in gynocriticism. So there was option like Bronte, there was Lessing, there was Virginia Woolf, and some modern writer also, and that was that kind of question was there. Anyway, gynocriticism, we know it is about actually this term is coined by Ellen Showalter, and it describes what a female framework for the analysis of women's literature. It doesn't matter if only woman writes, it can be a man who is writing about women's literature, and that can also come into that category, gynocritics. And by expanding the historical study of women writers as distinct literary tradition, gynocritics out to develop new model based on the study of female experience to replace male models of literary creation, and so map the territory left over the left unexplored in earlier literary criticism. So that was our question. So remember that Ellen Showalter, gynocritic, A Literature of Their Own. What they ask also sometime they ask the chronological order of these particular work. So that's why we have to remember the date as well, 1978. Got it? So see, even shift 1 has 2 questions from the related to that. You found that in 2023, right? And based on in the beginning itself you're encountering these kind of questions, so there are like 90% of chances that you will face same kind of questions, and trust you will be ready for that. Great. And I have seen many teachers that they are teaching like so many literature things and all, and there are so many books based on that, but to the point it takes a lot of dedication, it takes a lot of study, but for the exam point of view, exam can be passed with only PYQ explanation. And then why waste time in other things? Let's do it in PYQ. Anyway, one question is in your screen and you have to tell, did you find this question related to that. So willing to wound and yet to afraid. There was of course quote based uh, match the following, but there was not option like irony, simile or antithesis or assonance. Got it? So here we are asking willing to wound yet afraid to strike. You should understand these things. I'm just gonna define these things and you have to find which one is the correct one. Got it? So tell me, what do you understand by simile? Simile, you can also say. Anyway, I'm just gonna tell you little bit definition of it and you have to find. So I'm going to talk about what is irony first. So irony is something, it is a juxtaposition of what on the surface appear to be a case and what is the case are to be expected. So it is an important rhetorical device in literary technique. So irony is completely different, and you know there is Jane Austen's work, right? Pride and Prejudice, and there was opening line something like that. It is a universal. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in a want of a wife. So that would be your what? Irony. So got it? And simile is whatever the literary thing is there, it should be compared with something, with some example like as these kind of word should come. So what do you think is the correct one? So where do you find as or like word? Tell me. So you find it in and eyes mast high and come floating by as green as emerald. Again we found this keyword as. So aankh band karke just put this simile or simile. Got it? And what is antithesis? Antithesis, when you write a book, no, because I have been writing a book, to your surprise I have written more than 40 books till now, 40 to 45 books, and I have edited so many books for other people also, and I did as a ghost writing as well. So remember that whenever an author or a novelist or writer, they use antithesis good, because that makes your sentence really so good, so interesting. So that device, most of the author and most of the work you will find that device. And antithesis is what? Antithesis in simple word is a speech either as a proposition that contrasts with a reference some previously mentioned proposition, or when two, simple thing, two opposite. Antithesis is two opposites are introduced together for a contrasting effect. So there is contrast between two opposite things. And where do you find opposite thing? Tell me. Here is willing to wound and afraid to strike. So willing and afraid, we get two opposite word, but it creates an effect. So that is called antithesis. So antithesis is two opposite is contrasting, creating a contrasting effect. So this is the logical phrase. So just remember that antithesis is that. Now we are left with assonance. Assonance is very simple. You should only think about the vowel, and where when reading that, where do you find that repetition of a stressed vowel, like sounds within words with a different and consonants, as in the phrase quite like. So it is unlike rhyme, and we have here, we are left with, thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time. So quite like phrase. It is unlike rhyme, in which initial consonants differ, but both vowel and end consonant sounds are identical. So that is our assonance. Got it? So the answer is here. A ka 3, willing to wound, is antithesis. B ka 1, it is universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. It is irony, thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of and slow time. That is assonance, and we left with simile, and that is, and ice mast high come floating by, as green as emerald. So as or like, if it is there, it is simile. Got it? Tell if you understood. We'll just move to another question. So this is the explanation that I told you. And what is antithesis? Antithesis is contrasting effect. Opposite thing, contrasting effect. And irony is that it is a rhetorical device. It only talks about surface appear to be case and what in the case to be expected. So that is irony. And we have assonance. Assonance is the repetition of a stressed vowel, like quite like. So again, examples are also there. Simile, where should be comparing each other with the word like as. So that is in metaphor, you don't find like or as. Got it? We have next question, that is question number 4, and it asks, the question says, which writer does not belong to the angry young man movement? Tell me if you found the question related to that or any of these author in 2023. Say yes in the chat box quickly. Priyanjali says yes, they encounter this in 2023. That's great. So next question is about the angry young man that we are talking, and we have to find which author does not belong to the angry young man. So when angry young man come, we remember two names immediately, and you should also. John Osborne belongs to angry young man. Kingsley Amis belong to angry young man. And here two options are correct, because the angry young man, Osborne and Kingsley Amis, we know. Other two popular are, remember these name, it's very important. They can ask in statement questions like A, B, C, D, and you have to find the answer with the combination of some of these options. So here the angry young man, remember the date also, it is for British, not American, and became prominent in 1950s, and who include John Osborne, Kingsley Amis, and John Brain. So Brain Vein, you can just create code Brain Vein, and Osborne, to everybody knows. Osborne, Amis, and Brain Vein, and Sility. Silitu. Alan Silitu. So that we have to remember these names. And the phrase was coined by who? The Royal Court Theatre Press Office, and it offered to promote Osborne's play, which was 1956, Look Back in Anger. So that work belongs to Angry Young Man movement. Got it? And remember, Look Back in Anger was published in 1956, and mostly at that time the term was introduced. And who are the Angry Young Man? These people. And who are these two people? I have also collected. So Philip Larkin was mostly, he was related to image, right? So Larkin reaction of the other British then going to notice against the political enthusiasm of 1930s and what they saw, the emotion expressed of the poetry. And Seamus Heaney is known, he's Irish, but he is known for rural life and event in Irish history, alluding the, and he also won Nobel Prize in 1995. So Philip Larkin and Seamus Heaney are not, they don't belong into Angry Young Man. Got it? So now early we are going to solve this passage and answer the question that follow. So tell me, shall I solve this or shall I skip it? So write in the comment skip if you want me to skip this, or solve it if you want me to do it, or you can just say now or later. Do you want it now or at the end of the class? So tell me, now or later. I think we can do it because it is all related to criticism, right? Roland Barthes, Stoics, an expert from mythology. We'll just do it anyway. So first we read, when you solve the question, these answer, you first have to skip what is it is all about. And how you're doing, you just have to look at the beginning of the, at the end of the phrase. Roland Barthes, it must be talking about an expert from mythology. It is about criticism. So in that way you will judge the paragraph that it is about criticism. And first read the question. Adult casualty is about, so adult casualty is about, so he is talking about adult, so we have to just find the keyword adult. However, faced with a world of faithful and complicated object, the child can identify himself as an owner, a user, never a creator. He does not intend the world he uses. We can just escape, you can read it faster, but here to solve this we'll just go a little bit slow. So there are prepared for him action without adventure, wonder and joy. He's turned into a little play at home household who does not even have to invent the mainspring of adult casualty. So he is talking about adult casualty is about the cognitive and logical structure of the world. So how do we get it? Mainstream, and they are supplied to him, and he is only to help himself. He is never allowed to discover anything. The merest set of blocks provided is not to define implies a very different learning of the word. So he is talking about the cognitive and logical structure of the word. So there are the analysis of these one, and we have to find the closest way. And how is this? Because he is turned into little stay at home, so that supports the answer. And who does not even have to invent the mainspring of adult casualty, so they are supplied to him ready made, so he has only to help himself. So because of that statement, we come with that interpretation, we came up with the answer, the cognitive and logical structure of the word. Because here are not talking about sexual and sensual, right? Knowledge, the linguistic structure of the object or nihilistic reaction. So the simple is the cognitive and logical structure of the word. Question number 6, in the context of the passage, which is the closest being true? Toys affect the cognitive ability to children, and why? The merest set of blocks provided. You can just solve it in your PYQ. Question is there in your classroom that you have to definitely attend. So anyway, we'll just go quickly. The merest set of blocks provided is not too refined, implies a very different learning. I've just taken that excerpt from here, and the answer, the effect of the cognitive ability of children. Question 7 says, the world of object makes the child creator and actant. Two option is there. That's why we had a drop kind of question there. So question 8, the word demerge connoted their creative ability. Explanation is also there. Which of the following is correct interpretation? So in touching the object, the child creates dynamic forms of life. So that you all can understand. Anyway, now here we are, that you can solve there, and you will get explanation for each paragraph, comprehension reading there in your PYQ. Anyway, so here question number 10. So here I didn't put any answer. Oh, that was okay. Anyway, tell me, did you find related to that in your previous year exam? I mean, not previous, in 2023. Which of these is correct combination of the works of by Doris Lessing and their respective theme? Did they ask about Doris Lessing? Tell me in 2023. Yes or no in the chat box quickly. So good. They have asked about Doris Lessing. There was I think option about Canadian, American, these things, right? And the answer was something else, but in the option there was about I think they asked about apartheid and post apartheid. Remember? Yes. So which of these is a correct combination of the works by Doris Lessing and their respective theme? Everybody knows here the Golden Notebook deals with Johor traveling to Rwanda. Is it true? And the second option, The Good Terrorist, about a doomed love affair. Or you have to really know about all these works before. So I have the explanation anyway for every one. Actually, the Golden Notebook is about Anna Wolf, who has the 4 notebook in which she records her life and attempt to tie them together in a 5th gold colored notebook. So that is the plot of the Golden Notebook. The Good Terrorist is actually a political novel, and that's true. The book protagonist is a naive drifter Alice, who squats with a group of radical in London and is drawn into their terrorist activity. So Alice fell in love with him only to become frustrated by his aloofness and by homosexuality. So the Golden Notebook, The Good Terrorist, that is true. And Sikasta is about a planet cut off due to advanced influence of civilization. So Sikasta's name is also called colonized planet 5, and that is true. It is by Doris Lessing, and the book has 5 Canopus in Argus series, and Sikasta is the history of planet called Sikasta, and whose inhabitant call it Earth, under the influence of 3 galactic empire, Canopus, Sirius, and their mutual enemy Patera. So you should understand about Doris Lessing that she talked about mostly uh, about Africa and the apartheid and post-apartheid. She also talked about uh, apocalyptic apocalyptic era and dystopian societies. So these were the main theme of Doris Lessing work. And Alfred and Emily explore the life of her parents. Another one is we have the explanation here. There's three we have discussed. Alfred and Emily is a book by Doris Lessing and is a new hybrid form, part fiction and part notebook, part memoir. It was published in 2000. So recently, like 10 to 15 years, it was published. So recent work we have to understand, know about Doris Lessing. So part one is a novella, a fictional portrait of how her parents' lives might have been without the interruption of the. Of course, it is talking about the parents. So because of the option are not correct, that's why we have a drop option because the combination doesn't match. Published in 1950, The Grass is Singing About. It takes place southern Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, in South Africa during the 1940s, deals with the racial politics between whites and black in that country. So that is all about Doris Lessing. And question number 11 is in your screen and you have to find. Jake Lacan, as we know, is from psychoanalytic. You should remember first person is Sigmund Freud. Then in psychoanalytic, Jake Lacan is also there. So Jake Lacan was radically critical of the Assessian psychoanalytic theory. And the reason says Lacan was expelled from the International Psychoanalytic Association in 1959. So these two statements both are true, but R is not the correct answer. So he was not actually expelled because of this. So when assertion and reason come, you have to answer, you have to add because in between. So Jake Lacan was radically critical of Assessian psychoanalytic theory because Lacan was expelled from the. So it doesn't make any sense if you add because here. So that's why both are actually true, but it doesn't explain the assertion. The reason doesn't explain the assertion. So that is our. And why Lacan took up and discussed the whole range of Freudian concept, emphasizes the philosophical dimension of Freudian. So every psychoanalytic thing you should remember that it is based on Sigmund Freud and Sigmund Freud concept. So Freud thought and applying concept derived from structuralism in linguistic anthropology to its development in his work, and which he would further augment by employing formulate from predicate logic and topology. And the taking this new direction, introducing controversial innovation in clinical practice led to expulsion of Lacan and his followers from the International Psychoanalytic Association. And in consequence we have other explanations. So got it, this is our answer. And question number 12 is here. Choose the right chronological sequence of publication of novel. Everybody should know the first work of first and last work of any author. So you should remember the Edible Woman is her first work, Atwood, and the last work we know is the Testament. So simple. Where is the Testament? D. Where is D? In only one option. So because sometime particular author remembering all works order we don't. Most of us are unable to remember. Like if somebody has written like 20 books, how will you remember all the order. So first and last work you should always remember. In net they ask this, either they'll ask first or they'll ask the last, and they'll jumble in between, right? So here the answer is the testament is the last work, and here only in D we have the testament. I mean, two option we have, D, the testament. And the first work, as you know, it's edible, so here is not. And after that we have, here is the explanation. The edible woman is the first, surfacing Lady Oracle, the Handsmaid Tale, Alice Grace, the Blind Assassin, and the Testaments. So tell me if you understand. First and last, write in the chat box, first and last. You have to remember first and last. Right, quickly. First and last. And now question number 13 is here. Subramani's Fantasy Eater is about what? It was published in, is a what? Novel, collection of essays, or collection of short stories? So the answer is collection of short story. Why? The Fantasy Eater, which was published in 1988, and a collection of 9 short stories and a novella. The stories are set in the Indian community in Fiji. A collection of 9 short story and 1 novella set the author's native Fiji. So remember, Subramania is Indian community. The novel is 9 stories novella, and the stories are set in Indian community in Fiji. So one question they usually ask these days, either from New Zealand or Fiji or nearby islands. So remember that Fiji author, one more author is there in Fiji that we'll talk about. So Fiji, one you should remember, the Subramani's Fantasy Eater from Fiji. Question number 14. Under the Net 1954 is written by who? I think most of you, it was easy question for you. Under the Net is by Irish Mudrock. Got it? And another, Under the Net by Irish Mudrock, it was published in 1954. And the story set in London, and it is about Jake Donegal, and it's a mixture of philosophy and the picaresque novel. So, and here the plot is Flats chapter 1, 2 book he mentioned, taking the Murphy and Samuel Beckett. So Under the Net he mentioned Samuel Beckett also. The book Murphy by taking her from when Jake leaves Maud's flat in chapter 1, 2 books he mentioned, taking her Murphy by Samuel Beckett and Period Mon. So everybody know Murphy, Mellon and Mellon Dies. There are 3 trilogy by Samuel Beckett. So they can ask this question, Under the Net, which Jake leaves with what book, with whom? So that can ask Murphy by Samuel Beckett. So which of the following denotes the 3 phases of literary? Simple, everybody should know. And this is by Ellen Showalter, again from a literature of their own. And of course it is about gynocritic, and she has divided her book into 3 phases. And in 3 phases, one began with female. The correct order is what? It is feminine, first one, and the second is feminist, and the third is female. and there is particular order of the in feminine. The age starts with 1840 to 1880, and that feminist begins with 1880 to 1920, and the female is the last phase of the literary feminism, and that is 1920s onward. So these three everybody should F. So in between this question they ask, and see now Ellen Showalter, last time also we got 2 questions based on that in 2023, and this time also we are getting the similar 2 question already asked from Ellen Showalter. So in that way we understand why Ellen Showalter is so important in literary feminism and also in our NET exam. So Ellen Showalter, write triple F in the chat box quickly, and we'll explain meanwhile. So feminine, remember the phase 1840s to 1880s, and women wrote in an effort to equal the intellectual achievement of the male culture. And in feminist phase is 1880 to 1920s, and it is characterized by women's writing that protested against the male standard and values and advocate women's right and values, including a demand of autonomy. The female phase is a self-discovery, and so Walter says women reject both imitation and protest, 2 forms of dependency, and turn into the female experience as the source of an autonomous art, extending the feminist analysis of culture to the form and technique of literature. Question number 16, and in 16 they are asking about P.B. Shelley's incomplete work. And to your surprise, the trump of life is kind of trending thing for P.B. Shelley. They are keep asking about the trump of life. So they sometime ask A, B, C, D and match the correct the trump of life by P.B. Shelley, and other works are also by other. So in that way they are asking the triumph of life is kind of trending in net, and they are keep asking about the triumph of life. And the poem is actually unfinished. The poem is written by P.B. Shelley, and this was incomplete poem. And the triumph of life, the last, and it is also remember true because it was last major work by P.B. Shelley, and the work was left unfinished. Shelley wrote the poem at Casa Magnolici and Italy in early summer of 1822, and he modeled the poem written in terza rima on Petrarch, Timoni and Dante's Divine Comedy. Other option explanation, Ode to West Wind, everybody knows. And remember the day life literary career of P.B. Shelley, that his career is somewhere between 1818 to 1822. So that 4 year is very important in the life of P.B. Shelley. So Ode to West Wind, and remember this is written in ode form in 1819. Again, Cassine Wood near Florence, Italy, published in 1820 by Charles Oliver in London as a part of the collection, and this published in the Prometheus Unbound, and which is a lyrical drama in 4 acts with other poem. So that was published under the Prometheus Unbound, a lyrical drama 4 acts with Queen Mab. Queen Mab is also a poem, and why it is important? Because it talks about revisiting the daemon of the world. So remember, it was published in 1830. Actually it was at the end, it was published around 1860 under the title Daemon of the World. So Queen Mab, we know it is a philosophical novel. Again, question number 17 is here, and you have to answer. Identify the correct combination among the following. Did they ask about this? And in simple format, no, we have one code for that, for all the these literary device, no, the form and style, we have code for all this, and for that maybe it is there in explanation. Let's see. Okay, it's not there. I'm going to write in chat box the code for all these. Anyway, this question they ask, and in 2023 they didn't ask about it. Maybe they might ask. That was actually trending before 2 years. Every time they were asking about trochaic, or troche, or iamb, or pentameter, amphitheater, in all these things, they were asking about it. So sponde is what? A sponde is a metrical food consisting two long syllables by syllable weight in classical, two stressed syllable in modern meter. So two stressed syllable. So we'll have a code that I can write in the comment box. In the chat you can just see, or we'll start with the beginning. Troche. So first, stressed syllable followed by unstressed. So what you can do, we can do big O with 0 O. Remember that. So the big O is your stressed and the second is unstressed. So that is your troche. Okay, so in that way you can create code and you won't ever forget this, even if they ask, because they, okay, like that. And we have iamb code is what? You can also write, if you write repeat with me, that'll help you a lot. Iamb is a food originally referred a short followed by a long. Short, or you can say unstressed will be a short and stressed will be a long also. So iamb can be short, small to O. So that is our iamb. These are the code you should remember. Only through that you will be able to get. Got it? And we have again anapest here, and anapest is what? किसका उल्टा है? Anapest is two by one, and one we have two. This code you have to remember. I'm just writing in the chat box. And good, Ayush is there. Nice, Ayush, good to see you here. So anapest is what quantity may consist two short syllable followed by one long. So two short followed by one long. So that is your anapest. This code you should remember easily. With that you will understand. iamb हो चुका, anapest हो चुका, and then we have dactyl. So dactyl is related with two things, and that is you can just write this also in chat box if you're there. Ayush is there and Ayush has written, but write it in the code that capital O is your stressed and small o is your unstressed. So dactyl is a long syllable by two short syllables. So we have long and two short. That is your ulta. So dactyl opposite is anapest, anapest opposite is dactyl. So that you should remember. And So troche is opposite of iamb. Iamb is opposite of trash. So these two you should remember these code. I hope you get my point. So tell me now you have no confusion with anapes, dactyl, iamb, and troche. So trochaic. So remember this code. It's very important. I hope you get the answer. Anyway, we talked about sponde. Sponde is what? Okay. So sponde is a metrical food, two stressed syllable in modern, two stressed continue. Great. Ferric is the metrical food consisting two short or one as again unaccented syllable empinacer. Every these days, before like 5 years ago, they were only asking about trochaic and ductile, anapest, iamb, and these things. But now they are asking little bit deeper, like spondy, ferric, pyrrhic, and empinacer. There and coriambus, trochaic, iamb, anapest, and ductile, foot, freeverse, tetrameter. Tetrameter is 4 metrical feet. Pentameter is 5 metrical feet. 5 feet. And enjambment is incomplete syntax at the end of the line, which runs over a step over from one poetic line to the next. And caesura we know, remember, with the pause. So that is the keyword for caesura. And we have question 18. Who is the author of the poem House of Fame? Very simple question they asked, and everybody knows that it's Geoffrey Chaucer. And the correct explanation for it is The House of Fame is a Middle English poem by Geoffrey Chaucer, written around 1374 to 1385, and making it one of the earlier work, and it was most likely written after the Book of the Duchess. And the House of Fame has 2005 lines long in 3 books and takes the form of a dream vision. So that the House of Fame about Chaucer, because they actually stopped for like past 5 years, they didn't even ask about these, Geoffrey Chaucer. Actually they asked about his contemporary. Now like last year they asked about this Geoffrey Chaucer's, but the other work, not the Canterbury Tales. And if you're thinking about they'll ask again the silly kind of question, they might ask, who knows, but that trend is gone completely. Now they are asking about the contemporary of a major poet or novelist at that time, or dramatist. So the House of Fame, again we talked about. Who among the following is the article fleshly school of poetry attacked the pre-Raphaelite, especially D.G. Rossetti? So it was Robert Buchanan. Many of first I actually made mistake of saying William Hunt, but remember that it was Robert Buchanan while I was just creating, and I got the impression that it must be Hunt, but it was a Robert Buchanan. The fleshly school of poetry attacked the pre-Raphaelite, especially D.G. Rossetti. So D.G. Rossetti is associated with pre-Raphaelite brotherhood, and this article is the name Robert gave the realistic sensual school of poets, to which Dante Gabriel Rossetti. And in brotherhood there are some of the figure that included painter or art was Gabriel Rossetti, William Morris, and Swinburne. So he accused them immorality in an article entitled The Fleshly School of Poetry. in the contemporary review 1871. So in that way it's very important, because before they were asking about pre-Raphaelite, now they are asking about little bit related to that, like Fleshly School of Poetry. So Robert Buchanan is important, so that you should remember. We have already crossed 1 hour. We'll do the rest tomorrow. We'll just move to number last question. When was Haruki Murakami's Men Without Women published? There are dates, and the answer is 2014. So Haruki Murakami is very important, and Men Without Women is one of his most important work. So he's a Japanese, as everybody knows, and it's a collection of short stories translated and published in English in 2017. So only 4-year gap. It was published in 14, right? And in English 17, when it is available to everybody. So Haruki Murakami is Japanese, and he's famous for Men Without Women, which is a short story collection published in 2014, and in English 2017. The stories are about men who have lost women, usually to other men or death. The collection shares its title with Ernest Hemingway's second short story collection. So anyway, question number 21 we'll do tomorrow, and again we are going to have paper 1 at what is time right now? 2 o'clock. Be there sharp. We'll study paper 1. Paper 1 class will be at 2, and I guess everybody liking the class for paper 1, and I'm looking forward to continue, and we'll try to finish today paper 1 with unit 1 I was thinking about, but maybe we'll take one more class. But today we are just going to revise quickly paper 1, and then move to the main topic quickly, and we'll try to cover as much as possible today, because we have very less time, and we also have to solve mock test based on that. So thank you so much Anjali, Vidya, Priya, Ayush, everybody, whoever was there in the class. So shall we wind up the class, and then I'll see you at 2 o'clock. So be there. The link will be posted in your WhatsApp and Google Classroom as well. Thank you so much. Have a great day.